How difficult was that investigation for you, considering the fact that Joseph Ibenda Kapua, as an individual, is one of your very close friends?
I'm sure it was difficult, wasn't it?
Now, you see, Sierra Leone is a very small country. And we all have had relationships over the years. I was appointed commissioner at a very young age, and I have formed my own relationships, which I grapple with to date. But one thing I have brought to this role is to understand the call of duty and to do it without fear or favor. I am the kind of man who will send my friend to prison with tears in my eyes, but he will go to prison, and I have done it. I have schoolmates from the grammar school who have had issues at the ACC who have not been spared. I've had schoolmates from college. I've had classmates. I have had people of all ranges, even within the body politics of Sierra Leone today. I know almost everybody who occupies a higher position. But one thing I can assure you, if you even speak to them, they will tell you that Ben Kaifala we know is not a man you can joke with. It's not because I'm a wicked man. It's because I understand what duty is. I am anti-corruption commissioner. Out of 8 million population of Sierra Leone, I was the one chosen within this particular generation to lead the fight against corruption, and I have done so.
I'm happy you talked about that.
It was not done. It was not done by having a faint heart. It was done by having the heart of someone who understands duty and executes it without fear or favor.
Let's talk about Palan's situation.
Yes.
Your team, we had said, though there was no evidence to put a criminal charge to him, but on the moral aspect, they're not convinced that he was not aware that his wife was working at the parliament.
Correct.
Does that resonate with what you remember? Because again, we've had some submissions you've made this morning that do not align with what your team members have said in previous interviews.
The Palan situation is one of the situations that are interesting. And they go back to the earlier explanation I gave about administrative lapses. Okay? And I know the public wants blood. And they usually want blood of people in higher authority. And when the names come up, they raise adrenaline. They become as if those are the most important part of the fight against corruption. I agree. The tigers are as important as the flies. But that was a situation where we had a peculiar case, where a man's wife was recruited in the very institution he works.
As clerk.
As clerk. And he says, I did not do this. I'm not aware. Okay? This was something done between the HR. Maybe they wanted to think, they thought they were pleasing me, but I was not part of it. Now, we said we do not believe that. So the letter, the public information that went to the public is clear. That public release was sanctioned by me. So it's not my team who said so.
What did you recommend
to
President
President who said so, sanctioned by the commissioner.
What did you recommend to President
We recommend administrative sanctions. We basically said that if this man says that he is not aware, that's okay. We give him the benefit of the doubt because we do not have proof that he was aware. But we do not believe that administratively then he was doing his job the way he should do. Therefore, Mr. President, we are recommending to you to take action against him. 2 months he was suspended by the president. 2 months, in addition to the 1 month that we took to investigate, that's 3 months. Again, I go everywhere and people say you did nothing. No, sir. His wife was barred from holding public office for a minimum of 5 years. This is the highest we have ever imposed on any individual in this country. His wife paid back the full amount of money that was paid to her as her salary monthly, was paid back. We imposed a tax on it of 10%, and it was paid. Mr. Jones, you've been in Sierra Leone for how long? Where have you seen this happen?
So
Was that impunity?
Francis, let's use...
It was not impunity.
Let's use...
So this Palan issue is you... Please, Phoebe, I just want to use this opportunity to really clarify this Palan issue. Okay? Because one thing, you see, one thing we have done in the Anti-Corruption Commission in the past 8 years is to bring credibility to everything we do. We own up to what we decide. But when they say nothing happened in the Palan case, I feel so sad. And I've seen journalists say this. I've seen elites say this. And I was responding to you and I said that elites use the views of the ordinary man to communicate what they feel, their opinion. Because most times that's not even what the ordinary man feels. Instead of that elite explaining to the public, all these things I've outlined to you as consequences in the Palan case are facts. But are we really saying that? We are not. We are basically saying, oh, SEC did nothing. SEC did nothing and the man's wife has been banned for 5 years. She paid all the money she received plus 10% interest. And he himself was suspended for 3 months.
But he went
Francis,
back.
Those two instances...
What is the meaning of suspension?
Francis, those two institutions
you think
we've
that
mentioned,
particular punishment was enough?
SLBC and the clerk
I don't know which of you should I
listen to
now
Phoebe.
listen
No,
to. Okay, let me listen to Madam Sweet. Yes.
The two institutions, SLBC, the investigation, and Palan, you came up with findings, and the ultimate decision on their fate was now in the hands of the president.
Correct.
On what to do with them.
Correct.
What we saw was, okay, a few months suspension for the clerk of parliament,
for
but
the
he went
administrative
back
malfeasance,
to
yes.
his office.
Yes.
And what we saw with the SLBC Director General then, Joseph Ibenda Kapua, he got sort of like a promotion. He went from being DG of SLBC to now being the chair of the Independent Media Commission. That counts as a promotion because the IMC supervises all media institutions. So you go from being Director General of State Broadcaster to now being in charge of media platforms in the country. President Bio, during inauguration, said he was waging 3 wars: indiscipline, corruption. Corruption was one of those 3 wars. He appointed you as commissioner. You do the work, you send him reports. Yet here we are. The SLBC DG got a promotion. Palan, even though you said you could not find a threshold to charge him for criminal liability, but morally you don't believe that he had no idea. Few months suspension, he went back into power. How do you feel about the president's decisions in handling the recommendations you sent to him?
Unfortunately, I don't have feelings.
You don't feel?
I merely play my role.
You don't feel?
I don't have feelings when it comes to duty.
So since you don't have feelings, you surely have a brain to think. What do you think about the president's reaction or handling, especially of those 2 institutions you investigated?
What I
SLBC
understand,
and Palan.
What I understand from pure knowledge of governance is that the president has a lot of powers. And he's the one man who is voted by 100% of the population, given the responsibility to take certain difficult decisions that you and I don't have that authority to take. Okay? I am Commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission. I understand my domain. That's why I've been there for 8 years. I also understand what is the president's domain, and I don't get involved. I recommend. I go to president. That's why even in that recommend, I could have said, Mr. President, sack him. I did not say, Mr. President, sack him. I said, Mr. President, I think there is something here which we are flagging for you. You decide. If the president takes a decision on that, I don't have feelings about it. And what I know is that the president has exercised what is within his prerogative.
Do those actions tell you that the president is as committed to the fight against corruption as he said during inauguration, waging 3 wars? One of those was war against corruption.
I have only had to serve 1 president as commissioner of ACC. And one thing I know is that president is extremely committed to the fight against corruption. He has stood with,
including promoting someone who, by your investigation, his leadership was not as was to be, which is also why your institution was called upon for investigation. Even after your report, that individual became promoted.
Well, what you call a promotion is what I call a transfer.
It's a promotion. You go from being boss of state broadcaster to now being boss of the institution that all those other media institutions answer to. It's a promotion.
Look, Fabian, you see, even in AYV.
Or are your hands really tied in a way that you cannot have a frank conversation this morning on this issue because, again, the president is your boss?
I'm having a very calm conversation and I'm drinking tea. It tells you how calm I am.
I didn't say calm, I said frank conversation because the president is your boss.
Let me tell you something, and we miss this in Sierra Leone a lot. Even in AYV, there are people who the CEO of AYV may not be happy about, but he may not want to lose them now. He will move them from a news anchor to one desk officer somewhere. He can even sometimes make them deputy director somewhere. It's called kicking up. Okay? That kicking up is administrative. That kicking up is a transfer. It is a promotion in your sense. But I know it is to clear up a space within the news anchorage for other people to bring in new spirit and inject new ideas and probably bring in more integrity. I do not know what was going through the president's mind, but what you call a promotion at SLBC, I call a transfer. And it is a transfer of a gentleman who I know. This issue casts a lot of doubts on him, but otherwise he's a fine gentleman. Issues might be wrong, things might have happened that we are not happy with, or journalists might not be happy with. Even those who were working with, some of them were demonstrating at the time we were investigating. But maybe the president thought that he's a fine gentleman. He has other ways he can contribute to Sierra Leone, and he has gone to the IMC, where he has been for the past 2 to 3 years. I've not heard anything really against him. Maybe that is what was needed. So let's not overbeat this issue. If the president exercised his prerogative following our investigation, and maybe that was a way to fix SLBC. And anyway, you have not asked me what happened after he was moved. Maybe that's what you should ask. And let's now go into the brilliant, beautiful, and amazing things that we have worked with SLBC to introduce our SLBC, which has made you not to hear anything wrong with SLBC for the past 3 years. Maybe let's start a conversation with that now.
Before we go there, if you were the president, would you have taken that decision to transfer him to the IMC?
But I'm not the president.
If you were. It's a conditional.
I don't like if conversations.
Why?
Because if conversations, what if is the most useless preposition in the world.
You think so?
Yes.
It constitutes a very strong foundation in English language.
What if a bomb falls on my head right now? What would that change? What if Donald Trump is not president of America right now? Will it change the situation in Greenland? How do we know?
It helps you to rethink it.
What if this tea that I am drinking now is not warm? What will it solve?
Well,
it's not warm.
There's a reason why it's there in the English grammar.
Mr. Jones, what I would like to do is to live in the present. I am Commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission. In that role, I can do a lot of things.
You see, I asked you earlier about public's perception. And it sits very strongly in issues like this, for example.
Well, who is driving the public perception? It's you people. That is why I am here to engage in mass public education, to clarify the issues very calmly, but clearly. What happened? Because some of them, I sit in my office, I follow the news, and I see the misconceptions. As Commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission, it's not every day I will be on the news. Sometimes members of my team will be in a particular news conference or in a meeting, and they are making the clarifications, and people still feel to go on with the things as they feel it is. Driving public perception. I am here to massively engage with public perception and to make it clear that things are not as bad as they have been presented. Impunity, which they are saying exists, does not exist as they are making it sound. It's just a degree between guilty of corruption and not guilty of corruption. In between, there are a lot of things that we do that are lost in the communication.
Do you
which
regret
I have clarified.
anything, any decision you've made as commissioner of the ECC?
No, I don't.
Or if you were asked?
No. Every decision I have made, I stand by very firmly. Because it's not a process, it's not usually a one-man's decision. It's a process-driven decision. There is investigation, there is a report, there is prosecution advice, There is an opinion by the prosecutions. There is usually a meeting of management where we discuss these things and agree. There is one-on-one with the people involved sometimes to clarify the facts, to make sure that nothing has been left. Sometimes we return the file for further investigation. So when we come out with a position, I can assure you, Mr. Jones, that position is sacrosanct.